This meeting of the Personnel Committee, and this is an open meeting. I have a message here. If your meeting is videotaped, the open meeting law requires you to advise open session meeting attendees as follows. Open session public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your image and voice may be recorded per the open meeting law, Mass General Laws 30A. So the first thing on the agenda tonight is the minutes, which I did not get done. So those will have to wait. Second item on the agenda is PAFs. Do we have any this week?
We do not.
Good.
Did we get a PAF for that firefighter?
Yes, we did.
Oh, good.
It's just circulating.
No,
but yes, we did.
I don't want to sound like I'm fighting the position.
Nope.
Right.
I just really want it in our files that,
Right.
we've done it. Protect ourselves, please.
We will
Yep.
have it for you for the next meeting.
I'm just checking.
You got it.
The next item is position vacancies and/or advertising.
So I can give you a little bit of an update on the two department head positions that are out there, which I think we talked a little bit about, the treasurer collector and the fire chief. Last week, we did interviews for the treasurer collector, myself and the administrative finance team, and an outside treasurer collector, so a panel of 5 of us. And the administrative finance team, myself, we actually had 3 really good candidates. And it was a difficult decision, probably one of the most difficult recommendations that I've ever had to make, which is not a bad place to ultimately be in.
Right.
Because I thought that position was going to be extraordinarily difficult to fill. They're all over MMA, treasurer collectors. There's 5 of them, I think, posted right now.
Wow.
They're kind of a dying breed in that, there's a lot of treasurer collectors retiring. There aren't a lot of people coming up to fill that void.
Yep.
But we had 3 great ones, and we have agreed upon one that we would like to recommend to the select board and see what they think Monday.
Okay.
Well, you're just
great.
sending one to the select board?
Sending one to the select board. Yep, that is the path that we discussed with them.
Okay,
So-
great.
So
Okay.
that will happen Monday. And then today I spent 4 hours, almost 5, in fire chief interviews.
Oh,
Good.
okay.
Yes. So, and actually, believe it or not, there were 8 candidates that applied, but one was immediately disqualified for some reason that I can't remember exactly what, and probably shouldn't disclose anyways if I did. So there were 4 that were interviewed. There was one exceptional standout that was clearly heads and tails above the rest. So the select board will be talking in executive session about how they want to proceed with that position. I will say confidentiality in the fire chief search is a must because it is a sitting chief. And it can't get out unless that's the direction the select board wants to go in.
Right.
He also is making more than the range. So that's a decision the select board is going to have to decide what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I know I see you. know.
I understand wholeheartedly that we need to pay to get the help in here. But I also, as a resident and a taxpayer, look at the budget.
Yep,
There's got to be things cut somewhere.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and I can see and I absolutely understand that we have to pay them,
Yep.
but I want to know where this money's coming from.
Right. Right.
And it's a balancing act. And I have to say, MRI is doing the recruiting. They did the town administrator recruiting. So whether you like them or not, here I am. But
Right.
Don't say that. I was on
I'm
that.
joking. No.
I was on that committee.
I'm joking. That's right, you were. I think they did an excellent job. There's the market right now. It's really an employee's market. Westboro just hired a fire chief at $225,000. I mean, it is insane out there.
Yeah.
So-
Plus they're 10 times.
They're
10 times larger.
Oh,
than we
absolutely.
are.
No, just giving that
Yeah.
as just a reference that we would never pay that
Right,
much.
right.
We're not
Right.
talking about that, but usually even in Metro West, you don't see salaries going over
No.
200. That's really more
Right,
out towards
yeah.
Boston, and it's starting to come up here. So it's really just going to come down to a question of what do we do, because we had another candidate who was very strong on one side of the equation and not on the other,
Yeah.
and the other two just really clearly were not really quite ready. Like, would be great deputy,
Yeah,
but not quite ready for the big job.
okay,
So, and I think what's
Great.
tricky is we've got a great system going here. Chief Clark has, been a great
Mhm.
leader, and I think he's guided us well. I've been impressed in working with him, and I don't think, I think you want someone at the helm that can continue that type of
and
leadership.
plus he's been a working
and-
chief,
A working chief, absolutely.
in the, I hear him on the radio a lot.
Oh yeah, and
you
he's
know.
calm and
Yeah,
he's impressive
yeah,
on the
yeah.
radio. Yep,
Like the
he
other
commands
night
the
was
scene.
in Berlin was just crazy.
With the snow and the
Crazy,
ice.
just crazy.
Yeah.
And that 6-car pile up on Sawyer Hill Road, and it was just crazy. But I heard his voice over the radio, and I said, geez, there he is.
Oh yeah.
And it was a Sunday evening, it was Sunday. So anyway,
I was driving to work the other day, and on West Street, and I've got the fire chief and the police chief standing in someone's front lawn.
Thank you.
And it's like they're out there. They're out there in the front doing it. So we've got a great team.
yeah, we do.
So we want to make
Yeah.
sure we continue that going forward. So
Great.
we'll see what happens.
Good, okay.
It's in the hands of the select board
Beautiful.
to talk about. But we've got a couple great people. So
That's good
hopefully
news.
more information to come.
Okay. The next item is job descriptions. And I noticed that we have a couple
There
here from
are.
Molly. That's great.
Yes, so the property lister and the director of assessing position, she
Okay.
noted, had not been approved.
Right. Okay. Well,
So we'll take
did you
these.
look through them, Kristen? Were you?
I did.
Okay.
Now, the assessors do, now obviously they report to the board of
Yeah.
assessors here. I'm used to having an assessor report to the select board. It's just different depending on the town.
Okay.
So I'm generally familiar with what assessors do because of that setup. This looked very reasonable and familiar
Yeah.
to me based
Good.
on the job functions that I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really out of the ordinary,
Okay.
pretty straightforward to me. So I don't know if you wanted to look, and obviously it breaks down a little bit more for the property lister because you have
Right.
the administrative assessor and the property lister in that department. So their duties are a little more defined because they're broken up a bit more.
Okay.
So-
Is there okay. So for the director of assessing, I don't see any essential functions.
Oh, did I not copy a page? Am I missing? Oh, where's the first page? I apologize for
That's
missing the
all
first
right.
page.
Would you
Oh.
be open to us taking them home and just?
I would rather we
and-
take them
and
home.
approve them for the
Yeah.
next session?
Can
Not that
I
we.
email you the first page?
Yes, yes, and this, it's,
Because we're lucky enough to have Roger here, even though he's not listening, has the board, has the assessors, have you looked at these two job descriptions? Your board of assessors?
I have not.
I'd feel comfortable too if they got a chance to look at it with us.
Sure.
I think,
okay.
plus it get to spread the,
So once we get the first page of the director of assessing, I can certainly send it to the board of assessors.
Yeah.
Just so that they're aware.
I just think, spread it around. Everybody knows.
Yeah, their meetings are the Monday that our meetings are Wednesday, like they just met Monday.
Okay.
So, and it's, I just want to make sure that we go through all the steps that we should, and the Board of Assessors should see the jobs. They may have already seen when Molly had done the initial revisions, but I think there was some issue with the formatting and everything, if I'm not mistaken, I think.
can't remember.
I
We
can't
did so
either.
many of them.
Yeah. So anyway, so
And
to
I
the
s-
Board of Assessors, job descriptions, to Board of Assessors.
If you'd like, I could, when I send this out, I could actually email both of these out.
To both
and
boards.
put
That'd
to
be
both
great, yeah,
boards.
that'd
Does
be
that work?
great, yeah, thank you.
Just so they see it too. And
Sure.
frequently.
These came to me by a bit of a roundabout way. They were actually attached to the performance appraisals
Oh,
for
good,
FY22.
okay.
So that's how I found
All
out
right,
about
beautiful,
these. So
okay.
I didn't know
Yeah.
which path they
Yeah.
traveled down before they
Right.
arrived
Right.
on my
I
desk.
think they came, that's what it was, Sue. They came in with the performance evaluations last year.
That's right.
And we sent them back to
Yep.
Molly to reformat them.
Okay.
So that's what the situation was. I'm sorry about
Oh,
that.
no, that's okay.
Okay,
And
and
she
then-
does say she edited, I know on the bottom it says July 2020, but on the last page it says it was edited November 16th of 2022. So
Okay, all
I'll
right.
have her update that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the
And she
previous
should-
approved date, so that should actually stay for right
Okay,
now.
all right. But
love
this
it.
one rescinds that other one. Okay,
Yep, if it's approved, right,
beautiful.
exactly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Kristen. Okay, great. The next item was town administrator information, and I know that we were also going to talk about the budget and staffing and compensation.
Yes.
Okay,
So budget is well underway. June has been going through all of the budget forms and reviewing them for completion and questions and getting them over to me. And I have been working on going through all of the evaluations and putting together a recommended path for step increases that obviously would be contingent upon the availability of budgetary funding, since we are so early along in that process. It's a little tricky because these are based on FY22. I was not here in FY22.
Right.
But these are, what I did was these are based on department head evaluations. There are a couple of department heads that I can see my first few months here clearly go above and beyond, but I don't really have the basis on which to evaluate them for 22 or much, even if I were to look at the first couple of months of 23. And I know we had talked a lot about making sure that employees were within market rate and bringing up some of those salaries that were lower. So my recommendation is going to be looking at the non-department head employees this year, looking at step increases, and the department heads are not on the salary scale. Most of them are salaried, so those increases can be adjusted slightly more next year if need be. That was the suggestion I came up with. So the recommendation that I have is to move the following positions up one step. That would be the assistant to the town accountant.
Before we go over that, can I just mention one
Yep.
thing? One of the items that, I don't know, I think it's because I see some in here, the people who have only been here less than a year, would we make a change for people who have been here less
I have
than
a
a
hard
year?
time with that.
Okay, and that's fair. too.
So that would be my only concern. I absolutely understand that we may want to consider that and everything for next year,
Sure.
but I would rather see a person be employed for 1 year, because that's typically when you get a step, like
Yep.
when you're in the collective bargaining units, they get a step based on their anniversary date. And
Sure.
3 of the folks that are listed here, their anniversary date won't be until 23.
3 or 2, Claire? Number,
Oh, yes, I did number them, so we
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that was great. Thank you.
number 6
Okay,
is brand new.
brand new, yeah.
Okay.
Like 2 months, 3 months.
Okay, that was the trouble I was
Yeah.
having with the,
And
I
same
wasn't
with,
sure on some
same
of
with
them.
number 5.
Okay,
Number 5 is, I think, just a year.
okay.
Really?
Yeah, but after reading.
But this, remember, is at the end of FY '22, which would be June 30.
That one is close.
Oh, so it would be, so,
I just have,
yeah, oh, so make sure that they've been here a year
Okay.
as of June 30th.
2022.
Yeah, and if not,
Okay.
then, I mean, June 30th, 2023, you mean, right?
So this looks at evaluations for the FY '22 year, which ended June 30th of 2022.
Right, but I don't think any of them were here June 30th, except for number 7. None of those people were here.
the ones that you were talking about,
Oh, interesting, because they were reviewed and
which one? Wait a minute.
5, 6, and 7 were all reviewed.
Right, but I think the only person that was here
5 was.
is 7, I
No,
believe.
4, sorry.
Okay,
I'm-
but you're saying 7-2, not a year as of June 30 either.
Well, I think that we need to, if this is this a fiscal year 24 increase?
So this would be a fiscal year '24 increase based upon their fiscal 2022 eval, because I can't give them a '23 eval, we're in
Right,
'23.
so I would want to make sure that they had been here a year as of, before they get that increase.
Okay.
So as
I
of
think
June
that's
30th,
very
23?
valid feedback.
Yeah.
Yep, so they would have had to be here July, say July 1 of 21.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also,
No, that's not,
yeah.
I was going from June 30th, 23, because the
23, we're not there yet.
the fiscal year starts. So if they haven't been here a year as of
Oh.
June 23, or no?
Oh, now you've got me totally confused.
So,
Wait a minute, when would their
so
start?
none of them have been here a year yet. So I was thinking that if they were here a year as of June 30th, 2023, then they would be eligible for a step increase for fiscal year 24, which starts July 1st.
Oh, I got it now.
I
Okay.
see what you're saying.
Now I got it.
Okay.
July 1st, 23, yeah.
Open
Right?
this.
I think 4 has been here longer than you.
Oh, 4, yeah.
Okay.
4's been here a long time.
Okay.
Let's see.
I have
It's
a little.
5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
Oh, 7's been here.
Oh, look at this. I have dates of
I can't-
hire on this.
Oh, you do?
I think
Okay.
7's been
Oh,
here
great.
2 years.
Good, okay.
Yes, this was actually a bit of a last minute find, because I did a deep dive
Beautiful.
into Margaret's
Okay.
files, and I did come
Yeah.
across a spreadsheet that
Good.
she had. So let me
Okay.
actually, just take, if you'll give me a moment to take
Sure.
a quick look. So number 5 would have started on 11/1/21.
Okay,
Yeah, see, that's just a year.
yeah, okay.
Sorry, it's a rather long list. It has all the
Yep,
call folks on it too. Let's see. Okay, and number.
I was thinking Tim just came to us about that position.
She wasn't hired. Yeah, that one, I just have a hard time with.
Number 7 is 10/25/21.
Okay, yep,
And let's see. Where is the other one? I feel like we're playing bingo over
Yep.
here or something. That one I'm having trouble with. Oh, here we go.
So we're meeting in the other room.
6/13/22.
Okay.
Yeah, that one,
Okay.
um,
Right.
So would you say that, so I guess I could see it both ways. I could see it, are you talking about a year, were they there for a full year during the year that they were being evaluated? Or are we
Yeah.
looking to 23
No,
as
I
that
think-
year period?
I think they should have to be here for a year to be evaluated.
Mm.
I mean, I have a question about one of these, I admit.
Okay.
And I know this person is doing an amazing job, number 5.
Yeah, everybody, all of them.
I mean, everybody's doing an amazing job.
Right.
But I also know how hard we have fought to get merit raises for people.
Sure.
And when I read an eval and I'm expecting to see exceeds expectations, and I am reading places where it's still has to learn regulations, still has to learn, and working on it, and I'm not being I don't want to be negative in any way. But I just want to say that if we have to fight for raises again for some of these people, I would have to say that person is probably at the bottom of my list. Is that said? Do you understand? Because I don't want to be negative.
No, I follow, and actually, the way that I think about this too, because like I said, when I put this together, I did not have the hire dates with me at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that there should be a year's worth of evaluation. That does make sense. I think perhaps those employees should be looked at for, next year after they've had the year
Mhm.
that they've been here, and that's something we can revisit. Because the other thing I was going to say about this list is obviously it's contingent upon budgetary funding, and I just got an email from Worcester Regional Retirement that our assessment is going up $48,000 this year. That is a tremendous hit. So in terms of additional funding for additional things, whether it be step increases,
Okay.
equipment, what have you, it's going to be tight. That's a major increase. We also have this is a strange one, and I'm working with our IT provider, but our Gmail accounts are going up from $1,200 to $1,800 a month.
Wow.
So that's a total of about I think it worked out to 7, if I'm doing the math right, $6,000 or $7,000 a year. So there's some sort of fixed costs, if you will,
Yeah.
that are non-discretionary, that are going up, things we
Yeah.
can't do without email. Now,
Mhm.
I
Right.
have asked our provider to go back and speak with Google and
Good.
say, can we get on any other type of plan? What if we cut back a few emails? What can we do? At the same time, with public records, it's really important
Right.
that everybody have a public
Right.
email that is archived and
Yeah.
can be searched.
That's-
So
That's
there's just a number of
interesting. Wow.
costs. And I'm just in the very beginning
Right.
of looking at some of these things.
Yeah, okay.
The good news is our property, casualty, workers' comp, they've agreed to do a 0% increase for this year,
Beautiful.
which is wonderful. Police
Yeah.
and fire liability insurance, I'm working with them on. I
Yeah.
don't anticipate more than a 2 or 3% increase
Yeah.
on that one.
Okay.
So we've done well with our mods with the insurance company.
Great.
And they actually asked us if we would lock in for the following year as well, with no more than a 2.5% increase, and the select board did
Yeah.
approve that.
Great.
So there are some discretionary
Yeah.
things that we
Yeah.
coming in good, and some that are just
Right.
not
Yeah.
coming in good at
Well,
all.
the school budget alone.
I was just that.
I
was
mean,
the next
that's
thing I was going to
the
say.
school budget's we're getting socked there.
The email that I got said they were going to initially ask for a 20% increase.
Yes, I just watched their meeting.
Okay, so
And we don't have a school bus. You know
And-
Berlin's operating without a school bus.
that I did not know.
Yes.
Oh, we do? We don't
Okay.
have a school bus?
Oh, my daughter's been driving her.
Well, I
Kids just
noticed, when I
We don't
went,
have a driver
on
for one of the
Monday,
routes.
I went down South Street, and I said something to my husband about it, because I had never seen this before, and I thought to myself, oh my word, all these people drive their children to school and pick the children up?
Mhm.
because the line to pick the children up was out on South Street.
They'll,
And went all the way around the back of the school, around the circle, and I didn't know that
No.
that was,
they have a second driver that will cover, but the kids may not get home until 5 o'clock at night.
Oh,
wow.
well, that's
And I watch,
problematic.
Is it no school bus driver?
there is no driver. So
Wow.
I hope that we can take this list, because I know how hard we fought
Yeah.
for some of these, and actually like prioritize.
Sure.
And I'm gonna speak my speech now. You ready, Kristen?
I'm ready. I
We
think.
have a department head who was absolutely approved for a raise
Yep,
6 years ago,
yep. 5 years ago,
and
4 years ago.
personnel approved it, select board approved it. This was a while ago.
Okay.
Went before finance, and you know what? Finance threw it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
Was never given to her.
right.
It's been a process.
Last year, we also recommended.
Last year, and then we had the COVID things, so nobody got one.
Right,
Last year, we recommended, it was approved.
Okay.
There was such discussion at the Board of Selectmen meeting
select board, yep,
that she pulled herself
out.
out, said, just forget my raise. And I think this person deserves a raise.
Okay.
Talk about exceeds
Yep.
expectations. Has gone above and beyond,
Stepped
taken
in
on,
wherever needed, every single time.
and had, family things happening, and she did not say, I can't come in. She kept working. And I can feel my father in me.
Yep,
I really want to fight for this person.
right, right.
Understood. I know who you're talking about. I can tell you in my first few months here, I feel very similarly to you based on, the experience that I've had and how instrumental they've been to me in helping, me get up to speed and get ready. When was the last time there was a raise? Was it 2 years ago?
I didn't bring my folder, I'm sorry.
For that individual,
Yeah,
I thought it was 2
it's,
based on a conversation that we had.
there was something 2 years ago, but I'm not sure if it was a merit raise, or was that person pulled up when we did market rate, Claire?
They were put on salary, I believe, 2 years ago.
So that might have been,
Is that what yeah, okay.
the hours, because that
Everything-
person, that position was only getting paid for, was it 35 hours a week?
So it was brought up to full
40, so it was
40
a
and put on
2080.
salary.
Yeah, it was a full-time,
Okay.
made
There
into
you
a
go.
full-time equivalent position.
Can I ask, do you have any documentation of what the request was for last year?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I
Okay,
apologize.
that's
I didn't
okay.
bring it home with me. I mean, I didn't bring it to the meeting with me. I thought that was the folder I had in my bag, but still have the policy folder.
I mean, we still have time. It's very
Okay.
early in
Okay,
December.
good.
What I
Yeah.
could certainly do is, if
I do. I've got
Yeah.
you get me that information, I can
Yes.
work on this list a little more and I can bring it back in 2 weeks.
yeah. No, I think everybody deserves a raise right now. After going through COVID, everybody's gone above and
It's
beyond.
been tough.
But I do look at exceeds, and I know how hard it was to get some raises.
Sure.
And there are probably there's 2 people on this list that I think have really gone above and beyond, and I just want to see them on the top of the list. And that would be number 1 and number 8.
And that would be very consistent to, I read all of the reviews.
Mhm.
All of these individuals received exceeds expectations, and there were justifications for them. I would say some were probably a little bit stronger than
Mhm.
others, but I'm with you there. I think we can do something to make that work.
Okay.
Well, 1 and 8, all you had to do was walk in here
Yeah.
when COVID was happening.
I'm sure.
And they were the ones that were picking up slack, or a committee or a department were going to.
Going to other departments to work because they didn't have anybody.
Or somebody didn't know how to do something, and they were constantly
Yeah.
going to number 8 to ask for direction,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Okay.
good,
Well,
so
let me
we,
do that
that'll
then,
give us some
if-
time too to take a look at,
Yeah, if you can get me the information from last year, I mean, I'm sure I can dig it up somewhere,
Yeah.
but it'd be really helpful if you might have it
yeah,
handy.
I do.
And I'll bring it back to you at the next meeting.
Yeah, and I have the, actually the recommendation that came from the town administrator to the select board.
Oh, excellent. And I
Um,
really, really appreciate the feedback, because obviously I'm a little blind in this process, and I want to make sure that it's handled fairly, and, you know,
Yeah,
you all
I-
have
Yeah,
the
no,
experience.
I mean, I
and-
fight for that.
Yep.
That's the one that I will say that, and I do, all of these positions, I understand, other than, I have a little trouble with that number 5, that, to read it, when it was saying, you know, needs to learn the regs, and, you should know that by, you know, if you're gonna be in exceeds,
Right,
you should be up to par.
Sure.
You know, there's probably a couple department heads that I'd kinda like to check out, but I understand.
Yep.
Because I think we've got another department head that is doing a lot of extra work.
I was gonna say, you
It
know,
is
I
not-
did sit down and have a discussion with all of the department heads. I asked them to fill out the evaluations as a self-evaluation,
Yeah.
and then we went through all
Yeah.
of them. And I was gonna actually share this with you next. There were 3 department heads that really stood out to me, you know, as part of that process, and I don't think there's a lot of harm in sharing, because they really went above and beyond in terms of, you know, describing what they had done, what their goals were, how they were going to meet those goals. I can't obviously speak to past performance, but there was a very clearly laid out plan for going forward.
great.
And I, you know, would be open, one is retiring, so that's a bit of a moot point there. But there is another one who I think goes above and beyond, like you said, that probably could be added if that's
Okay.
something we want to take a look at.
All
And since we are, if we are going to look at department heads, I would feel remiss if I didn't take a look at this other individual as well. So
Okay.
I think I will add that person
Alright.
to the list, and then
Okay.
we can discuss it. I need to work it
Right.
out, so I don't want to.
No,
Okay.
and,
I'll share names next time. I don't want to share them
Yeah,
No.
right
that's
now,
okay,
but
yeah,
yeah.
Okay,
no, and we have one position too that we had to check on if we got up to market rate yet, one department head. One that just, I know. We have a department head who took on extra responsibilities this year in another department.
Okay.
And we weren't sure, she was way below at the beginning.
Okay.
And we brought her up, and I just want to make sure that we still are doing that.
yeah.
Okay.
And the other one was, what were we going to do about the, I don't know if we've gotten the job descriptions back. Where are we with the, we were gonna look at the compensation of the transfer station personnel, the 2 positions that were down. And weren't we gonna look at that? Where were we with the transfer station piece? I didn't bring my folder with me. Because we only had one comparable town, and that town was much larger
Okay.
than.
Oh, we never got, oh, that's the market rate stuff, because we never really got, yeah. But
and
we
I-
can do that after, can we do that part after budget season, and Kristen's
Yeah,
got
oh,
less to do?
yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
put that
Oh,
on our,
absolutely,
yeah, let's
yeah.
put that on our list to,
I wasn't sure if that was something that you were thinking that we should do at this time. Okay,
I don't think so. I think we'd, right now, the list is long enough.
that's right, and we can put it.
Yeah.
Great, all
Okay.
right.
I will work on that.
All
Sorry.
right.
No, no, no.
No.
Honestly, I really
For
appreciate it, 'cause
whenever-
it was tough.
Whenever you get a chance,
it
because,
was tough to try to figure it all out, you know, and it's, you know, I appreciate the the
Okay,
feedback.
good. Good.
It's hard to come in, 3 months into
Oh,
a
I-
fiscal year.
We know. Okay. So the next item on the agenda was that we, unless you have additional, but I think we were going to go to the policies, right?
Yes, and I have some goodies for you. So I have another version of the policy manual. So you can chuck, we'll recycle the old one.
Beautiful.
No, have you seen that ad where the father makes a snow globe out of the paper? He shreds all the paper and makes his daughter a snow globe?
Well, I expect
No,
one. of the
I
next
told my
meeting.
husband I
haven't
want
seen
one.
that. That's cute.
That is
Aw.
really cute.
Yes, I did, as a matter of fact.
Told him, I
Now
said, if you loved me.
Yeah.
So I did not give you guys the redlined version because there were very
Oh,
few red lines, but I have the redlined version right here to go
Okay.
through with you, kind of just like we did last time, because that seemed to work out well. So let me just pull that up here. Okay, so what we did, or what I did rather, I put in a table of contents, went through, cleaned up a lot of the formatting. It's a lengthy table of contents, but it is all broken up into sections at this point. There may be a few minor formatting things. I still want to, now that I've printed it, go through
Yeah,
the entire, like one last read and look through everything if we agree on the other 3 policies that we still have left to discuss tonight. I don't want to say, 150% for sure this is perfect, but I think it's very, very close.
Doesn't have to be perfect.
Okay, well, that's good. So the first thing that I looked at was the education and certification policy, which is on, oops, why did I employee benefits, nope. Why is that not listed out in here? I don't know why that didn't get called out in its own section. Of course, I meant to print the red line one, but I printed myself the clean one. Let's see. Give me just a moment to find it here. So much of this is in the appendices that
Yeah.
it's taking Well, did that section go? Don't tell me it disappeared somehow.
Grievance, discipline.
That is really bizarre because now I don't see it in the table of contents.
Yeah, I don't,
That is really bizarre because I updated that whole
oh, you.
section. Okay, policies. That's all social media. Well, let's pause on that for a minute, since for some reason I'm not finding it, and I will go back to that.
Okay.
That's the education and certification. I don't know why. That's sort of driving me nuts. But, all right, so the other section that we talked about was the Family Medical Leave Act section.
Yeah.
And what I did was I looked at an existing policy, and I actually printed out what I updated. So you have an existing policy that I used, and then you have a redlined version
Yeah.
of our policy.
Okay.
Just because I thought that'd be easier to work on than trying
Yeah.
to go through the whole thing. So I was still trying to figure out how to work in the 5 days part, because I know we talked about that. So what I did at first was I looked at a couple different policies. I didn't see ones that had that in there, so I wanted to discuss it with you. What I did add in here was, it says it will, this went on a fiscal year. Typically, it's during a 12-month period for
Rolling
FMLA.
year, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that was one recommendation I had, to change it from a fiscal to a 12-month period.
To a rolling 12-month period, yep.
Correct, because
Yep.
if you're 10 months into a
Right,
fiscal
yeah.
year, that's not a 12-month period.
Yep.
And then like we talked about last time, defining immediate family member, that's still
Great.
in there.
Yes.
And then if
Right.
you turn to page 2, which is also page 67, one thing that wasn't really clear was intermittent leave and
leave.
how it would work.
Yep.
So I pulled out this section and see if you like it. Basically, it says it need not be taken at one time. It may also be taken on an intermittent basis or used to reduce the work schedule during the period of serious illness if there is a medical need
Yep.
for such leave. If you need that, you must attempt to schedule it so it does not disrupt the operations of the town.
Yep.
And the town may assign you to an alternate position with equivalent pay and benefits that better accommodates your intermittent leave or
Yep.
schedule.
That's perfect. That's great.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. And then the leave part. So it was a little confusing because it said you may choose to use accrued leave. So the way that this other policy here defined it, I liked. It said it's unpaid unless the employee chooses to use accrued paid leave or sick time leave. Employees have the right to use any amount of accrued unused paid leave for the part of the 12-week period. However, accrued paid leave may not be used to extend FMLA leave, and FMLA leave will run concurrently with absences from work not covered by workers' comp. The only thing we talked about that you can do is you can require employees to use their leave. So I know we went back and forth a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
Most of the ones I've looked at, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Some of them will say, we require you to use your leave and here's the order that you have to use them in. Some say
Yeah.
you can take it unpaid or you can use your leave. I don't know what the preference is here. This, I will tell you, in my previous community, did work well.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever had an employee who chose not
Right.
to take their leave because
Yeah.
nobody really wants to be
Unpaid.
unpaid.
Right.
Right.
But also it does give them the option to, so say for some reason they're a newer employee and maybe they only have a couple of sick days, but
Yeah.
they get their 2 weeks vacation or something at the beginning.
Yep.
They can use that. And that's also good for the department because then you know they're not gonna come back and take another 2 weeks vacation right
That's
off
right.
the bat.
Yep.
So, but you can also require them to take paid. So I don't know what your use their accrued leave. So I don't know what your thoughts are. And then that also leads into the 50, the part down here about the 50% of accrued vacation leave, which was still a little bit confusing to me because I thought we had talked about 5 days if it was family leave granted to care for a newborn child, a spouse or parent with a serious health condition. And that was what we said in my notes were a little contradictory.
Yeah.
Were we saying up to a maximum of 5 days? Was that what we had agreed upon?
Per year, 5 days per year.
Or 12-month period?
Yeah, 12-month period.
Okay.
That's fine. Yep.
So I just wanted to check with you, so I didn't put that in there.
That the language will be unpaid unless the employee chooses to use accrued pay. I think most people would choose to use their time.
Right.
So don't you?
Mm-hmm. I do.
I mean, to me, that language would be fine.
Right.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
if I just add at the so that paragraph is good, and I'm sorry
Yeah.
I kind of jumped ahead to the
Yep.
second one.
Yeah.
So do you like requiring the 50% of accrued vacation leave to
So
be taken?
I think that the town requires employees. I guess what we were trying to say, if utilizing sick time for an employee may utilize their sick time to care for a seriously ill family member in the, I don't know how else to, in the amount of a maximum of 5 sick days per
Up to
12 months.
5 sick days in a 12-month period.
Yeah. Does that,
I think that makes more sense. I think what was
Yeah.
throwing me off was this 50% of
Right.
accrued vacation leave, and
Right.
I went, did I
well,
misunderstand
it
what we
was
talked about?
50% of accrued sick leave because they get 10 sick days a year.
Okay, and it said vacation, and that's what threw me off
Right,
and made me
right,
doubt my
yeah.
Yep,
whole
yep.
thought
Yeah,
process.
yeah, so
Okay.
it's their sick time. They can use their vacation time anytime to care for a seriously ill family member. Our concern was a person utilizing their
all
sick
their
time.
own sick time.
Their own sick time to care for a seriously ill family member, because if something happened to them,
Right.
they would not have any sick time. And honestly, they're not the ones that are sick.
Okay.
So that's why we said, and then the former town administrator made a recommendation or made a suggestion for us to consider. She has seen it in another town that they permit the employees to use 50% of their accrual of sick time for the first year that they're, for a seriously ill family member.
So is it up to 5 days or 50%? I'm still trying to figure out where the 50% fits in.
So you're saying everybody gets 10 days sick day, 10?
Right,
10
but
sick days, so
don't
it's-
forget that a part-time person gets 10 prorated sick days.
Oh,
too.
so that's why we did, that's,
Maybe that's why we did the 50%. Because like a person who's in a 20-hour position instead of a 40-hour position, yeah, they're going to get 10 sick days, but they're only going to get 10 times 4 hours.
right,
Because they're,
that's what it was.
Halftime.
Now that you just said that,
so that's probably why.
the memory clicked.
So Kristen, if you can figure out some wording for that, because everybody, depending upon what their hours are, all their accrued time, whether it be vacation, holiday, or sick time, is all on a pro rata basis in terms of how many hours a week they work. Like if you're a 32-hour person, you only get 0.6 or 0.8 of the day. So instead of getting
Right.
8 hours, you get 80% of those 8 hours.
So something maybe like up to a maximum of 50% of sick hours allocated in a
Oh.
12-month period.
Oh, that's perfect. That's beautiful.
that
Yeah,
good?
that's
Okay.
good. Really good.
Yep,
Yep.
that makes sense.
So I'll rework that paragraph. Getting close.
Yeah.
And then, okay, then the only other thing I added was on the page 68.
Yep.
This was, I didn't see a section on this return from leave, which I thought was
Okay.
interesting, and it kind of, I think, protects the town
Okay.
a little bit. So
Okay.
it's, just for the public who can't see this, upon returning from leave, you will be returned to your previous position or a comparable position with equal pay, benefits, seniority, and other terms and conditions of employment unless one of the following exceptions applies. If during the period of leave, the town would have ended your employment or you would have been laid off for reasons unrelated to the leave, the town will not reinstate you.
Yes.
Additionally, if you performed unique services and hiring a permanent replacement during the leave was necessary to prevent substantial and grievous economic injury to the town, we will notify you of the town's intent not to reinstate you after the expiration of your leave. If you choose not to return to work for reasons other than the continuation of an illness or reasons beyond your control, you must reimburse the town for the employer portion of the premiums it paid in maintaining your group and health dental benefits during your leave.
Perfect.
Yep,
So that was one piece I
Very
just didn't
good.
see in here
Yeah.
that I thought was good to add in.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and I'm sorry, there's a little bit on the last page too. If you do return from leave, you will be restored to your former position or equivalent position with pay, and you will be credited for benefits and other terms of conditions of employment for the time you are on leave.
Great. Okay.
So basically saying, if you leave us, you owe us for the insurance we provided you during that
Right.
time.
Right.
You are credited if you return.
Mhm.
All right. Are we good on that policy?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, just a quick question on that.
Sure.
So even if they return to work, they still have to pay the town back for their what would have been their deductions when they were out on
They
their
have to
leave.
pay their portion, no
portion.
matter what.
Right, okay.
But if they chose not to return, the town is not responsible for covering the town's portion, is what that piece is saying. They would actually owe the town back for covering their insurance during that time period.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's an added layer of protection for
Yep.
the town in that
Yep,
sense.
okay.
So,
Does the town have to be, just for protection, like you said it, under the FMLA laws for serious illness? Do you have to have, like, is there some specifications of what a serious illness is?
there is. So
Okay.
there's actually
Yeah.
like a 6-page form that has to be filled out by your supervising physician.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted
Yeah.
to protect the towns
Yeah.
that, I come and say, my kid's got a serious illness and he really broke his arm and,
Right.
Yeah, there's actually 2 forms. There's one for the employee
Yeah.
being
Okay.
ill, and one for the family.
That's all
member. Both have to be
Yeah.
certified by a physician, and the physician also has to, for the employee, provide a letter of return to work
Right.
stating are they able to return to full duty, what they can and can't perform if not, and what the period of time is until they are able to
Good.
return to full duty.
So who's been doing that? Who does that? The town administrator? That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you really don't have an employee health department, and you
No.
also don't have a person who oversees the leaves. That's a lot, yeah.
Well, right, and in my previous community, as the assistant town administrator, I did it
Okay,
as well,
all
so
right.
I'm
You're familiar with it,
familiar with it.
okay, good.
And, knock on wood, it's not something you get all the time.
Right,
So.
I was gonna say, how often
Yeah.
do we actually
Yeah.
have these requests?
Yeah, not that often.
2 a year, 3 a year?
If that.
yeah,
Yeah.
good, okay.
All right, so the other thing we talked about was the technology policy, which I ran through our IT folks over at CM Geeks. And that is appendix, so it's hard to look through this, but I actually should put the words in the table of contents, that would be helpful. It's right towards the end here. Let's see. There we go. Appendix O, page 107. There's an information technology resource policy, which there were no changes made to this.
Great,
That actually is just, very straightforward, in terms of what to do, basically avoiding viruses, sketchy emails, anything
Yeah.
of that. No expectation of privacy with regard to using the town's resources, which I think is actually a really important part of this policy, along with the emails being subject to public records requests. So that all looked good. The access control policy was a bit more technical, and so Travis over at CM Geeks went through and he made a couple of minor changes. The passwords actually have to be changed every 90 days.
okay,
And there are certain 2-factor authentication is now coming in for certain software programs. So he had me make a reference to the fact that certain programs will require the use of that, that use of that system.
multi-factor. okay.
Multi-factor,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. And that was all he said. He said everything else looked
Great.
great. So I don't see any
Jeez.
other issues with that. This is really weird that I still can't find that education and certification piece. I'm gonna have to go back and find that, but I will do that. I
Right.
did update it. you know, based on exactly what we talked about, and went through, I just want to do one last read through of the whole thing,
Yep.
make the FMLA update that we talked about, and then I think we're done.
And I was hoping to like make a motion that we, but I guess I can't until we
Hold on.
get
Right.
that other part. I wanted to make,
No, I know it's in here.
I just wanted to make a motion that we were sending it to the select board.
All right.
But that's okay.
I know.
I still feel like we have come so far.
Let's see. Yeah, I think it's in good shape, so
It
we're very
is.
close. I mean,
Yep.
2 weeks and we should be.
Can I ask a question on vacation entitlement and whether is that going on people's paychecks yet?
It's in the process still of being worked out.
Okay.
So,
All right.
we've had a couple of meetings with Harper's, the payroll company. Dennis is working on it.
Great.
We're moving forward with some of the less complicated departments first, meaning
Okay.
not public safety,
Right.
where they have all of the overtime and stipends
Right,
and all
right.
of that piece of
Okay.
it. So we're getting close.
Good,
Yeah.
beautiful. So you'll work on the education and certification piece.
I sure. Let's see.
The list of compensation in terms of any department heads you wanted to add to that, as well as taking a look at that final list, along with the personnel recommendations that we noted. Anything else?
Nope, I just want to see it in the compensation list prioritized.
Can
Just
you think of
not-
anything else that you'd like to bring up?
No, that's all I had for you for this evening.
Okay, great.
And I
Sue?
make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye, aye, aye.
Aye.